Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is a sequel to the highly successful hit Guardians of the Galaxy, which came out in 2014, and it features pretty much all of the main cast from the first movie returning this time. And it takes place about a little bit after the first movie, and now they're basically doing more of the same in this movie. Going into this movie, it was probably one of the most highly anticipated movies I wanted to see this year because of the success of the first one, and naturally, it delivered. It was actually pretty damn good. If not, well, a little bit better than the first one, I might add, in some ways. The plot of the movie is pretty much the same as the first one, like I said, but there is a little bit more weight to it, and actually there's a lot more weight towards it because now there's a lot more emotions tied to this. Since this movie centers a lot around Peter Quill, played by Chris Pratt once again, and the relationship with his father, who is Kurt Russell, and I don't feel that's a spoiler because you've seen the trailers already, so you've probably already seen it already, so you probably know that. But there's a little bit more about that regarding the relationship, and I'll touch on that in later spoilers if I decide to do a spoiler review. This movie has a lot going for it. All kinds of humor around this movie, like lots of humor, which is what made the first one really good, and it doesn't short out at all. So there are several moments in this movie where you're just sitting there and you're laughing pretty hard because some things are actually really funny. If I do have a complaint, though, there are some jokes that are drawn out a little too long, and some of the jokes don't really land at all because they're just kind of like flat. But more often than not, pretty much every other joke is actually pretty funny, or any type of humor is funny. And of course you have the soundtrack, which is actually pretty damn good compared to the first movie, and that's what this one is famous for because, well, there's an in-joke in the movie with an Awesome Mix Volume 2 cassette tape playing around, and that's where the inspiration for the name of this movie came from. Some of the new characters in this movie include the character of Mantis, who I actually didn't know very much about watching this movie, but she looked like she'd have some funny parts. You already have the aforementioned Kurt Russell, who's Peter Quill's father. You also get a little more depth on some of the other characters. Like, pretty much all the other characters have their moments, and they're big emotional moments. You have more of a backstory on Yondu, played by Michael Rooker. You have more on the Ravagers. You have more on Nebula and Gamora, who, as it was previously mentioned in the first movie, are sisters. And this movie is definitely in the feels in so many instances. It was very surprising to see how many emotional strings this tugs on once it's all said and done. And I really wasn't expecting that, even though it was already mentioned by James Gunn that this movie would have a lot more emotional weight to it. And it shows in so many instances. A lot of it is pretty heartfelt, and I want to say that's pretty well done. But naturally, you have Rocket Raccoon, who's also another popular character coming back, and he's definitely not showing off funny moments either. Baby Groot is just fucking adorable. I don't really know how that's relevant to anything, but I'm just putting that out there because, well, look at him. He's cute. Overall, the movie was extremely satisfying, very entertaining, just as good, if not a little bit better than the first movie in some ways. Some of the humor was a bit flat, but everything else more than made up for it. And the soundtrack was pretty much perfect. Sometimes some of the music didn't fit up with some of the scenes that were playing, but I think that was done on purpose just because, well, given the tone of the first movie and the way these movies play out, what can you expect? Naturally, there are post-credit scenes at the end of this movie, but there are actually 5 post-credit scenes movies that are playing during the credits of this movie. So don't get up until the final credits start playing, or they're done. So overall, this movie was an incredibly good watch. I definitely recommend it, and I'm going to say this gets a gold ribbon rating from me. Okay, so that's my thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and I want to know what you think. What was your favorite character in the movie series? Whatever you think, leave me a comment below and tell me how you feel. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my Twitter. Don't forget to check out my blog. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can click on the link below or wait until the next slide. Please don't forget to share this video if you like what you see and you want to see more. And as always, I will see you around. So until then, this is me saying, peace out.